Hello, in the last video we used the no help attribute to indicate that commands should not be displayed in the help text. And in this video we're going to go ahead and create our own custom conditional command attributes. So let's go over here into our project, and I have created a simple health class here. I made it a singleton out of convenience. You can see here that I made it a singleton. We have a serialized field for our health, a serialized field for our max health. We have a isDead property here. We have a take damage method, which will deal damage to the player if the player is not dead, and it will die if the health reaches 0. Okay, we have a heal command that will heal the player if the player is not dead, and it will make sure that the health does not exceed our max health. We have our die method that handles the player dying, and a revive method that handles reviving the player. Right now I have it set to revive the player at 25% health. Alright, it's just a simple script here, but this is a mono behavior, yeah. But we need to change it to a command behavior so we can add some commands to it. I also want to make this a command group to make it simpler. I'm going to call this health. And let's go down here and create a couple commands. So first we're going to create a public void and call this one heal. We need our command context, ctx, and we're going to also pass in an amount. Okay. Now in this command we're just going to simply call our heal method and pass in the amount. We want to log this to the console, so ctx.console.writeLine format. I'm going to pass in a style. This you don't need to do, but I'm going to pass in a style here, and then I'm going to create my format string. So the format string here is going to be you healed the player by blah 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 health points, and then pass in the amount again. Okay. To make this an actual command, we need to add our command attribute. So we'll go ahead and add command and call this heal. All right, we're going to create 2 more commands here. So next one is public void damage, and this is going to take a command context, ctx, and a amount, so float amount. And same thing, we're going to call our take damage method this time and pass in the amount. And we're going to do ctx.console.writeLine format. I'm going to style it again with normal. And down here we're going to create our format string. So you dealt blah 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 damage to the player. Okay, again we're going to pass in our amount and create our command by adding our command attribute. We're going to call this one damage. Okay, one more command we're going to create here, and that's a revive command. So public void revive command context ctx and call the revive method. Again, log to our console, ctx.console.writeLine, and you have revived the player. And we need to make this command too. So command revive. Alright, just to check this out first, I'm going to go ahead and save and hit run. Over here on the right, you can see we have our health and our max health. In this scene, I have a player game object, which I attached this player health script. This is the script we were just looking at. So now I can go ahead and hit F5. And first I want to make sure our commands are loaded, so it should, because it's in the scene and this is a command behavior. So you can see we had heal, damage, and revive. And no descriptions because I didn't add them, but that's fine. Let's test this out. So let's go to health and try to heal the player when the player is at full health. You can see over on the right here that the health did not change. Okay, let's go try to take damage. So health and damage. And let's damage the player by 10. And let's call that method again, damage it by 10 again. And now the player should be dead. So now if I try to do revive, the command will execute. The player is dead. The player is no longer dead, but a problem here is I can hit revive again even though the player is not dead. So we're going to create a conditional command attribute to check or to only execute a command if the actual player is dead. So going back over here, to explain better what the conditional command attributes are, they're attributes you can add to your command that will perform a check. If the check returns true, then the command will still be executed. If it returns false, the command will not be executed. And there's probably much better situations to use this rather than the way I'm doing it here. I'm just doing this as a demonstration purpose. So let's go ahead and create a new conditional command attribute. So we're going to go ahead and add a script here, and I'm going to call this only if dead attribute. You don't have to write attribute at the end, but it is common convention to end it with attribute. Okay, now to make a command attribute, all we need to do is extend conditional command attribute to make this a conditional command attribute. Okay, now if we add our missing members, we're going to get a method here called validate command. This is the check that I was talking about earlier. So in here, if the player is dead, we want the command to execute. So we're going to do player health instance is dead. So if the player is dead, return true, because we want the command to execute if the player is dead. Otherwise, I'm going to actually log a message here. So I'm going to go console dot I'm going to use right line. I'm going to pass in the style, but this time I'm going to pass in the debug error style. And I'm going to display the message, you cannot execute this command unless the player is dead. Okay, and down here we return false. So this is our check. One other thing we can do here is we can add a description for our attribute. To do that, you need to override the attribute description. Attribute help description. Okay, and we can simply set our description here. So this attribute only allows a command to be executed if the player is dead. One too many M's there. Alright. It's as simple as this. We can go ahead and save, go back over to our player health, and I want the revive to only work if the player is dead, so I can go only if dead. And now this command will only be executed if the player is dead. Let's go ahead and check that out. I'm going to save. We got everything set up as before. We're going to hit F5, and first I'm going to try revive right now when the player is not dead. You cannot execute this command unless the player is dead. Alright, so let me go ahead and kill the player. Let's damage the player by 20 points. The player is dead. And let me do this. Health revive. And now the player is resurrected with 25% of their health. So you can see here, conditional command attributes can be a powerful tool if you need to have a check on multiple commands. This would be the most useful in cases where you want to apply permissions for commands. Let's say you have a multiplayer game and you only want the host to be able to execute the command. You can create a conditional command attribute that's only if host, or only if has permission. And you could check the permission of the player before the command is executed. That's it for this video. In the next video, we'll start working on parameter attributes.